So, working on the Defender today. Got a cool upgrade I'm going to be doing to the Defender. If you run the Can-Am Defenders and you've really put some miles on them, you know they have a little bit of an issue with wearing out the bushings. Now, this one's got 8,000 miles on it. The upper bushings are, they've been replaced once. The lower A-arm bushings, they are factory. And all of it's sloppy, and I've sort of been trying to find like an upgraded bushing. Couldn't really find anything there. Not that stuck with like the nylon type of bushing until I found TCP Pro. Now let me show you the bushing that they've got. I've already got this tire off. When I took this tire off, of course I'm wiggling everything. I want to see what all is loose. And the brake rotor was loose. These 4 bolts back here, the T40s, they were all a little loose, and you could sit here and wiggle the rotor back and forth. I haven't even taken the tire off the other side yet, so I'm not sure if that's a problem over there. But this is their bushings. This is a alloy. There's Grizzly. No Grizzly, you can't eat this. And they're calling this their alloy bushing. They also make it as a brass thing. This bushing is really catered towards the big lifted guys with the portals. And if you're in the portal community, then you understand all the issues with the portals. If you're not in the portal community, one of the problems is they have changed the load and they've pushed it so far out, and there's so much weight that it's just too much weight for those factory bushings on a pivot point that is that close together. That's why the Can-Am X3s are spaced so far apart between the 2 pivot points in the lower A-arms. So hopefully with this bushing, hopefully, I'm sure that probably fixes a lot of stuff for you portal guys. For me, I'm looking for longevity. This is going to last longer than a piece of plastic. But the fear is, when I go to change this out next time when it's worn out, is the A-arm trash too? Or is that 20,000 miles down the road, in which case throwing away the A-arm is probably not the end of the world if I get 20,000 miles out of a factory or out of this bushing here. So I'm gonna put this in, show you guys sort of how that goes. Never done it before. The other side has still got the other bushings, and we will go from there. So I probably do this a little bit different than most people, but I got one side apart. I've already done the upper. You can see it in there. I do not take the ball joints off and the A-arm off and all that stuff. I just do one at a time, especially for something like this, where all that doesn't really need to come off. The lower A-arm is still attached on the ball joint. There's enough movement in this knuckle here that you can pull the bolts out, slide it out, swing it over, and wham. Here we are, doing the bushings. The upper's a little bit different. It only comes out to about here, and then you're doing the bushings in there, which is not that big of a deal. But if you're familiar with the Can-Am bushings, and this, you'll understand some of this. You've got the metal rod right here that goes inside of that nylon bushing, and then this metal, Can-Am calls it a wear plate, that wraps around the outside there. So they sit, if I can get this together, they sit kind of like that, so they wrap around. This bushing is a little different. We just take that, pop it in there, take this side, pop it in here, and now it's ready to go back in. And when we bolt it, we actually hold on to these sides, and this inner piece is what will pivot in here inside the A-arm, and that's where my fear of wearing out the A-arm is coming from. So I'm gonna get this side put together, and we'll see if it feels tighter than the other side. So I tried to fix a problem, but I ended up making another problem. So I figured with these metal bushings, there's nothing really to keep the water out. So I put a O-ring on here. This is a R12 O-ring, and put it in very tight on the bottom, plenty of room for the top. It pushed it out just a tick, but I knew as I tightened it up, it would squeeze in on that O-ring. So I fixed one problem by not allowing the water to get in, but created another problem by not allowing the grease to push the air out to fill the cavity. So, trying to use the grease gun, I ended up making a nice big mess. I was also trying to use the lock-in lube on the end, but the lock-in lube is too fat to fit in these 2 top corners. So I had to take it off, put the smaller end back on, and then finally I got it to take grease, and you can see it squish out in all the proper places. Of course, I'll scrape up that big nasty glob of grease there, but I don't know. I guess we'll see how this program goes. So here's one I know is going to make some people are probably going to be mad. Other people are probably going to be excited because now they know how to do it. On this Defender, I am running aftermarket rims. Now, most of your aftermarket rims are going to be made for a 12mm stud, not a 10mm stud. If you've got a Commander, a Defender, or a X3 made before 22, I think they swapped over to that in 22, to a 12mm stud, then you are familiar with the 10mm stud world. Now, there's a lot of different options. You can get adapters to bump up from a 12 to a 10, or from a 10 to a 12. And then what I've talked about doing was actually drilling the hole out bigger to put a 12mm stud in, which we've talked about, but I haven't done that. And for Dad's Defender, as you can see over there, it's got ITP Hurricane rims on it, which are made for a 12mm stud. But here's what we've done. We just bolt them on. You can see in that hole, you can see that little bitty 10mm stud. You can see the factory lug nut. Now, the thing with the factory lug nuts is they are wider. So you can actually see the engagement on here is good. We have good contact pattern on there. And it's so tight in there that I got to use a chrome thin wall 17 mil. And you can see where it's scratched it all up because it just barely fits inside of that hole. So with the good contact pattern, you know, why change anything? And aftermarket rims have been on this machine for 99% of its life. Same with Dad's Defender. You need to not use the aftermarket lug nuts. It needs to be the stocks. They need to be wide. That acorn needs to fit. The 10mm stud factory lug nut fits in the 12mm hole for aftermarket rims. Now everybody goes over to the skinny lug nuts. They're too small on a 10mm stud for this hole. So hopefully that helps somebody out there, because I know we weren't super sure on what to do in the beginning. Now, I got all the bushings in, and I'm not super sure how to show you, I guess, how nice they feel. They feel like brand new bushings, and as to be expected, even if you went back with the nylon bushings, they're still going to feel like a brand new bushing. Now, the only thing where this is going to be nice is long term. How long will that bushing last? One of the plus sides is it doesn't squeak, which if you have a Can-Am Defender, then you know these things squeak. Now, I still have the squeaking of the rear, which I can very obviously hear, and I understand why the rear is squeaking because it still has the factory bushings in it. So on Dad's machine, it's time to do front and rear on the bushings. So I wanted to try it on this so I can really drive it, feel it, make sure this is something I like, that it's not going to be screaming, that this is not a mistake. And then, if I like this, it's time to order a full set front and rear for Dad's machine. So I'll show you guys just driving down the driveway. It doesn't sound clunky, but other than that, I'm not really sure how to show you how it feels. Bushings for a Defender, I do recommend these at this point. I don't know how lifespan's going to do. You know, we'll see in 6 months to a year if this was a good product or if I just destroyed all of my A-arms. So I'll keep you guys updated as time goes on, and